Now moving on, we will now enter our final track of day 2, LNG Horizons, examining the innovation, sustainability, and market dynamics shaping one of Oman's most strategically significant energy sectors. So to start us off, artificial intelligence is transforming LNG plant operations from predictive maintenance on liquefaction trains to AI-powered process optimization. Our next speaker presents real-world applications at Oman LNG. Ladies and gentlemen, me, please help me introduce the General Manager for Digital Transformation and Technology at Oman LNG, Mr. Abdullah Al-Araimi.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm nervous. It's really a privilege to actually represent Oman LNG here. Oman LNG is one of the leading LNG companies in the country and in the region as well. And today I'm not going to talk about an experiment or a future concept. I'm going to talk about our experience in Oman LNG using AI. And I will not really conclude with results, but I will leave you with a lot of learnings that we have learned in Oman LNG and we're still learning in this concept. Yeah? We're talking about the use of LNG or AI in LNG plants live as we speak. The LNG is, right now is using artificial intelligence to understand and learn the process, try to predict anomalies and predict failures. This slide is saying that it's just summarizing what we have done in Oman LNG or what we are targeting. Basically, the plant, and I'll keep on saying this, the plant is running at the maximum possible, technically possible limits that we have. The purpose of trying AI and neural AI in the plant is basically to ensure or explore whether we have additional capability to produce more LNG and to predict failures. Our target is actually to increase the production from 1.5 to 3%. This might look a very small percentage, but in the world of LNG, this is a lot of money. We're also trying to reduce downtime by 14 to 17%, trying to understand the failures at least 2 weeks earlier. And we define 3 use cases that we want to start with. I'll talk about the bottom figures later on. Don't worry about that. So what's the opportunity? Let me start with this to make also the process engineers happy. The plant, again, is running at the maximum possible limits. The technology that we have in the past, if you're actually coming from this field, advanced process control, is doing well. However, AI is actually introducing a totally new concept, a totally new ability or capability of manipulating data, large sets of data in a very short time. The gap that we have is a huge amount of data has been accumulating for years and years. This is being tapped for the limits that we have with ABC, but AI is actually can exploit that further. The hidden risks are identified by AI because the complex plants, industrial complex plants, are running integrated processes that are not very easy to identify the differences unless you run very complex models like AI. Yeah? So let's actually go into this. Why neural AI platforms? And what's actually the difference here? Neural AI platforms gives you the ability to have a data-driven approach besides what you used to have in the past, which is first principles of engineering. So first principles of engineering combined with data-driven approach makes it a transformational change. Without this, it's actually it's a caveat. Yeah? In Oman LNG, we're actually talking about 2.5 billion data sets, data points over 12 months history. We have 13,000 plus tags. and we have 3 trains, and we were testing 3 different platforms. So we went all the way, all the data were exposed to the AI platforms that we have, from sensors to self-learning. And this is what AI neural networks is bringing. It's literally changing the plant into a digital twin, and that digital twin is a self-learning digital twin and self-tuning digital twin of the plant, trying to understand itself and corrects itself for a better improvements and better results. So everything besides tags were actually captured. BNIDs, BIFs, DCS data, and PI data were all captured in the platforms at once. This slide basically describes the difference between neural AI versus ABC, traditional ABC. Traditional ABCs actually are rule-based. They are very static. They have to have a manual interventions from the engineers to actually modify them, versus neural AI platforms, where these are actually self-adapting algorithms that actually can discover unknowns and give you the unknown potential or optimization that basically were not clear to you in the past. Okay, let's go into the scope. As I said, production, the focus is producing more LNG. The scope was also to predict failures, and the scope was also to look into carbon emission while producing more. Yeah? The architecture, as I said, what's under the hood here is basically a neural network architecture, a digital twin construction, which is a process, digital twin, and we were able to have a predictive maintenance engine to predict the failures of equipment, and real-time integration and real-time optimization of the plant. Now, basically, this is my personal opinion as well. I think neural AI will supersede and will replace traditional ABC systems in the future. It will have a multi-variable capability that actually manipulates many data at the same time. It will self-improve and have a pattern discovery. In the coming probably 6 to 7 years, we will see AI neural networks taking over plants and industrial plants to automate, to optimize, and to predict. All you need to know here, it's actually a combination of multiple layers. Data is very critical and crucial. And at Oman LNG, basically we were looking at multiple systems, DCS data, PI data, and CMMS data, as well as unstructured data, drawings, and what have you. This goes into a layer where data lake is created. So all the data is actually imported in a solution internally, Oman LNG, called Cloudera. And then we run AI and ML models for predictive maintenance, process optimization, and emission. The outcome of this, or the output of this, is basically dashboards and advanced analytics on a real time, where our engineers, our operators can actually look into the plant and optimize at hourly basis. So the neural AI stack starts from data foundation. As I said earlier, it actually goes into the first principles, understand that, creates a digital twin of your process, and then goes into autonomous operations where closed loops is applied, and you don't have to actually even apply the recommendations, they're applied automatically. And then they turn into a KPI and dashboards. So what we did at Oman LNG, we did a neural network against historical data, not on basically average performance year, not in theoretical performance. It was on the best data set we could ever get and applied AI on top of it. Yeah? So, we're, again, as I said earlier, I will not really conclude or share conclusions with you from a LNG experience, rather basically telling you our experience, and you can actually test it for yourself as well in your own environment. In Oman LNG, we're looking at basically improvement in production from 1.5 to 3%, and this is not verified yet. Please don't quote me for this. And we're actually trying to test, but there are also challenges and learnings, which I actually will share with you in a minute. In terms of prediction as well, we can see a scope of 14 to 17% predictive ability 2 weeks earlier. Again, as I said, there are a lot of challenges here and learnings, which I will share in a minute. You have to be actually careful on understanding what AI will bring to the table as well. So, coverage is the entire process, all the way from feed gas to LNG storage. And the KPIs that we actually have as an outcome ranges from unified KPIs, prescriptive guidelines, sometimes with actions, alarm intelligence, where actually prediction is happening, and optimization of recommendations as well. What's next for us is basically concluding by mid of this year. Maybe if we're happy with the results, we move into advisory mode, and then we go into closed loop mode, and then we scale up and replicate the setup. These are the learnings that I want to spend a little bit of time on sharing. Basically, this is why we're here, to share knowledge. And I try to understand from a managing experience how you can apply it somewhere else. First is data quality. And I think the previous panel, I think my colleague Fahad was here, mentioned, he talked a lot about quality and having the data ready. This is also an experience of Oman LNG. You need to have actually your data ready. Ensure that your data is up to date, cleaned, and ready for AI. When you apply AI or neural networks, you should combine the two domains. Data-driven domain, where apply actually can excel, AI can excel, and first principles of engineering, which is the domain-specific knowledge. This is where your safety limits applies, where operation limits actually apply, and this is where it should be combined together with the AI. Once that's created, you should have cross-functional teams to actually verify the data and ensure the first principle engineering are applied, and the logic applied in the models are sensible and responsible. You need to actually go through a teaching and learning curve of your AI models. That's actually very important. One of the learnings here, if you depend on AI alone, AI might give you unexplainable results. And when you actually go and try to discuss and make sense of this data with your engineers and operators, they will not be able to explain the recommendations coming off the AI model. Unless you link this to the first principles of engineering, embed that into your AI model, then you will be able to actually start explaining. And you will be going through this learning, refining and defining your model further and further till actually the results make sense to you. You need to go through build for scale. So when you decide on a platform, when you decide on a model, I think it's very tedious. You go back and redefine everything again. So you better build it for scale later on. So put this in mind going into this journey. Human AI collaboration is a key step in the process. So I personally do not advise to go into a closed loop option right away. I think you should go into advisory mode first, And then once you build the confidence and the trust, you can actually move into the next level. Yeah? So looking forward, and again, this is my personal input into this slide. I think this will start with AI advises, human decide, and this is the advisor mode, as I mentioned earlier. Then it will go into a co-pilot. Human validates, but AI acts. The last one, which is AI controls, human supervises. Yeah? A few key learnings and advices and recommendations. So I don't know whether you're basically also interested into the academia and what we can do in Oman for neural AI as well. I think, in my opinion, in Oman we should really consider data as a key asset, and therefore we should bring data residency and capabilities in country. And we should work through the ICV programs into building talents around neural AI and the development of this in the country. This does not exist. However, in Oman LNG experience, we had to bring and pay for this, and bring all the 3 vendors into Oman soil with Oman data centers to actually enable this in Oman. But this is not sustainable if we don't have our own. On the academic part, I think last week I was in Ijad attending a session around how can academia help in the AI space. And in my opinion, in Oman, I think academia can really play a big role in neural AI R&D and development of R&D labs for neural networks is really key. My advice as well to the academia and recommendation that actually they should focus on this area as well, because this is a huge potential. This will take us to basically the autonomous operations of industrial plants. And this is actually the way I want to close my slides, few slides here, with this thought. Plants are built for a very long time for automation. This is not really a news. However, with AI, they became more intelligent. They became more self-learning. They define what they want and they fine-tune themselves. To go to this level, we should probably in the country build this capability and ensure that we have all the right infrastructure in country and the talent to have this futuristic AI capabilities readily available. With that, I would like to thank you guys for your kind listening. And if there are questions, I'm more than happy to take. All you're happy? Thank you very much. Thank you.